I kept this story guarded for too long, a simmering secret that still sends shivers down my spine. The date August 31, 2025 is etched into my memory, marking the day our world tilted on its axis. Our son, newly 16, had recently ended a relationship with a girl barely 17 herself, about a month prior. Then, a mere 3 weeks ago, our lives were irrevocably altered. Her parents contacted us with devastating news: she was pregnant. She was already beginning to show a small but undeniable truth. The dates, with cruel precision, aligned perfectly with the period of our son's involvement. My wife and I plunged into a maelstrom of panic, a terrifying vortex of fear and uncertainty. We wrestled with the revelation for 2 agonizing days before we could bring ourselves to tell our son, who remained entirely oblivious to the impending storm. His immediate reaction was a furious, guttural denial. "It's not mine, I never had sex with her." Given his known active nature, I harbored a profound skepticism, yet I recalled his prior sensible questions about protection. Still, he vehemently insisted they had never gone that far. Then, a shocking confession: he had cheated on her. Our subsequent heart-to-heart was brutal, unvarnished. He laid bare his despicable actions, an absolute shithead indeed, yet amidst his raw, painful admission, a flicker of truth began to emerge, piercing through my doubt. He maintained he always used protection, always wrapped, and he has my wife's disbelief was an immovable rock. Both families convened, tension thick, a suffocating blanket. My wife, practical and grim, began the conversation, accepting our son's presumed fatherhood. She focused on solutions, funding, the harsh reality ahead. Then, a shocking declaration from our son. His face etched with raw anger denied paternity. He swore they never had sex. His indignation was palpable, undeniable. He then made a statement that chilled me: a single, unsatisfying act incapable of conception. He'd never pursued her further, he claimed. A scoundrel, a heartless cheat. My wife and I, united in outrage, raged at him. His ex-girlfriend, though, admitted rare intimacy, yet meticulously recounted the event, the precise time and place. Her account disturbingly held a ring of truth. I know my son's a liar, a dog. Yet a stubborn, illogical part of me believed his core denial. My wife saw my reluctant faith as a deep betrayal. Her anger turned, sharp and direct, toward me. "You're part of that boy culture," she hissed, pain lacing her voice. She struck harder, a bitter reminder: children of teen parents are often teen parents themselves. We were both just 17 when she got pregnant. Her words, heavy with history and current heartbreak, carved a chasm between us. I stood, speechless, swallowed by her profound disappointment. This unfolding tragedy truly pains me deeply. My wife tragically continues to worsen an impossible situation, her refusal to confront reality, abandoning a young woman to figure things out entirely on her own. My stance is unwavering. I have resolutely withdrawn from further discussions with the other family. I firmly believe we cannot engage in such emotionally charged conversations until paternity is unequivocally established. This whole ordeal has been a torrent of stress, and I apologize if my frustration bleeds through these words. I simply needed to vent this crushing pressure. Adding to the agonizing delay, her parents vehemently oppose a prenatal paternity test, claiming it could harm the baby. While I've since learned such tests are considered harmless, their stubborn refusal, combined with the legal reality in the UK where courts cannot order one before birth, traps us in this torturous limbo. We simply cannot get a definitive answer until after the child arrives. A mere week has passed since I last poured out my torment. My previous narrative, detailing my difficult choice not to align with my wife concerning our son's ex-girlfriend's unexpected pregnancy, garnered a deeply mixed response. It was a raw account, rife with the harsh realities of our family's fractured situation, including difficult details and explicit elements that underscored the depth of the betrayal. A crucial text message provided undeniable evidence, cementing her story. The truth, however unpalatable, continues to unfold. I kept quiet for a long time, but the memory of that second meeting still makes me shiver. It was worse than the first, a crushing finality. My son isn't coming home. Our mother-son relationship is shattered beyond repair. My marriage, too, feels irrevocably broken. A sinister truth emerged. His ex possessed disturbing text messages. She'd confided in a friend, vividly detailing my son's large organ, even a specific mark, and describing sexual acts far beyond the oral only he'd ever admitted. These texts, chillingly precise, aligned perfectly with her statements, contradicting his narrative. My wife astonishingly seemed to gloat. Worse, she invited them, the ex and her parents, over without my knowledge. The resulting scene. It was absolute carnage. We sat, my son, my wife, and I, on one side of the table. He glared at his mother, demanding she move, refusing to speak until she complied. She did, her dignity crumbling. Our son was eerily quiet at first. He eventually admitted to the mark and being large, a detail I never needed to know, yet stubbornly insisted it was just oral. Then the grotesque display truly began. He brazenly winked at his ex's mother. When she questioned him, he retorted with a sneer, "Your husband is gayer than Philip Schofield, so I'm sure you'd like a go on my large." He then turned to his ex's father, ready to unleash another venomous insult. My world collapsed. I still shiver recalling every agonizing detail of that terrible day. "It's not for you," they spat at me, followed by a vile homophobic slur. I was utterly speechless, the words ripping through me numb. My wife, unmoved, turned to our son, demanding he finally cease his denials. She was already deep into her meticulous plans, oblivious to my turmoil. I pleaded for a DNA test now, or at least immediately at birth. But they stubbornly insisted on waiting until the child was born. Then my son, with chilling resolve, spoke up. "This is not how this will unfold," he declared, his voice chillingly cutting the very air between us. He gave an undeniable ultimatum. Either the paternity test happened now, or he'd flatly refuse any testing until he finished college, a staggering 6-year delay. He coolly noted courts wouldn't demand maintenance from a minor. He then twisted the knife further, claiming that during those prolonged years, the SL-T who gave birth to him, my wife would waste vast sums and affection on a child utterly unrelated to her. His cruel hope was to see her, his own mother, spiral into an exceptionally dark, spiraling place. They threatened a court order. He scoffed, confidently citing personal autonomy. A court could not force him. To my horror, he was demonstrably right. As he turned to leave, his mother desperately grabbed his arm, pulling him back. "Get your filthy hand off me, USL-T," he roared, his eyes blazing with fury. He promised he'd fight back physically if she didn't release him right away. The air bristled with his raw, unchecked rage, leaving our family irrevocably shattered and utterly broken. Our family's quiet despair reached a crushing point. I urged her to let him go. He'd been seeking solace at a friend's for a while. I offered a ride. He agreed. In the car, his raw confession, he knew I doubted yet fiercely denied the dark accusation. "I didn't F her," he insisted. School, social media, horrible. Then the cruelest blow, he called my wife, his mother, a BTCH. I rebuked him. "Can't speak like that." His pain ran deep. She was merely a woman who gave birth and minded him, nothing more. He felt she didn't care, never asked how he coped. At his friend's door, his composure shattered. He wept softly, admitting it wasn't about me, but he wouldn't be home much. His hope I'd still hang out broke my heart. His friend's father, known from the pub, approached. I offered money. He refused. My son had confided everything. He was a counselor. His wisdom, girls exaggerate, boys lie. He'd known my son since childhood, and he believed him. His faith became my own, a fragile hope amidst darkness. I faced a revelation. He believed he held information I lacked, an unsettling thought. A grave warning followed. We risked losing him if we weren't vigilant. Heart heavy, I returned home. There I confronted my wife, delivering an absolute ultimatum. Should she utter even a single word to me or our son about the baby before a definitive paternity test, our marriage would be over. Furthermore, if she failed to offer a heartfelt apology to our son, to genuinely beg for his forgiveness within the next few days, we would be unequivocally done. These words, spoken with deep sadness, were not impulsive. They were deeply meant. Her shock and silence confirmed my gravest fears. I knew then that our journey together was reaching its bitter end. My love for her, a bond forged since childhood, remained a painful ache. But my son, my own flesh and blood, stood as my paramount priority. This wasn't about absolute belief in his claims. In my heart, I likely didn't, but about unwavering presence and support. He had always been a challenging child, yet his recent behavior had grown unsettlingly erratic, a desperate, unspoken plea for help. The alarming speed of his transformation worried me deeply. He was my singular focus now. Intensive counseling, and plenty of it, became essential. 1 month passed. The calendar turned to October 6, 2025. My wife and I inevitably separated. We found a way to remain on surprisingly good terms. I believe she finally understood the profound reasons compelling me to move out, recognizing the depth of my parental commitment. We both still wanted to deal with the challenging aftermath, responsibly, for everyone's sake. I'm striving to perceive our complex situation with fresh eyes. My son and I now share a flat, and a fragile happiness seems to bloom within him. Then a profound glimmer of hope pierced the gloom. His ex's parents, after agonizing delays, finally agreed last Thursday to a crucial paternity test. It's booked for this Wednesday. This sudden shift bewilders me. I can't quite grasp its cause, a quiet blessing perhaps in these tumultuous times. I carefully shared the news with my son, his admirable response. He sought a meeting with his ex and her parents, eager to apologize. He thanked and apologized for his past words. They with grace accepted his remorse, though I felt he also deserved an apology. To his ex, he stated plainly, "I'm not starting anything, but we both know this child isn't mine." Still, her defiant insistence persisted. "It is yours," her gaze unwavering, a stubborn wall. The chasm with his mother yawns wider than ever. I gently broached an apology or discussion. His response was immediate, resolute, sharp with pain. "I will never apologize nor forgive even if she seeks pardon. My hatred is eternal, it will never wane." This mess remains. He refuses to speak to her. If she visits our flat, he leaves. Last Saturday, a desperate plea. "I won't be angry if you've been lying, son, but if that's the truth, I need you to tell me." I must have honesty now. I demanded the truth, urging him to be honest before a paternity test confirmed it. He insisted again and firmly it wasn't his. Then a sudden, heavy request. He asked me to promise I wouldn't explode in anger if he truly confessed. He declared he didn't want labels, but the real reason his prior relationship with his ex never progressed, he revealed, was his inability to stay up with girls. He uses condoms, yes, but not with women. I couldn't respond. He simply went to bed, leaving me utterly stunned and silent. Sunday morning, I told him I accepted him, whatever his identity. It was admittedly a profound surprise. I then recalled the unsettling Philip Schofield remark he'd made about his ex's father. He denied it fiercely, clarifying it involved a man his own age. I didn't push it. He craves secrecy, which leads me here, unable to confide in others. At this point, it would truly be a shock if the child were his. My personal revelation sparked many questions and comments. A top one resonated. "Well, there's a turn. Bet you weren't expecting him to be having sex with a guy face with tears of joy. But there's no way a kid his age just makes th. The past few months have been a relentless blur of disbelief and quiet desperation. My once stable world shattered, forcing me to painstakingly gather fragments for my son. I question if my wife, my ex-wife, ever truly grasps her actions' magnitude or simply evades responsibilities. Many, myself included, found it profoundly odd that my son and I left our home, not her. We found refuge at a friend's flat. I'd hoped for a brief respite, a calm moment for my son away from our home's turmoil. Just a break, I told myself, a chance to breathe. Then another revelation came, a profound surprise from my son. I confess it was truly unexpected. Without wishing to cause offense, his openness about being gay was something I hadn't foreseen. It caught me entirely off guard, yet I knew with absolute certainty he wasn't fabricating this. This was his truth. The initial shock was palpable, yet after the bewildering chaos of the last 2 months, this news, while deeply significant, surprisingly didn't feel like the biggest crisis. My love for him is unconditional. I don't care if he's gay. I simply crave a long overdue holiday, a moment of genuine peace after all this wreckage. Our healing journey demands professional support. Counseling, lamentably, has an agonizingly long waiting list, but my son is firmly on it. In the interim, I've ensured he connects with a remarkable organization I discovered. It's like a helpline, yet manned by compassionate, understanding individuals ready to offer solace. We are fighting for a new beginning slowly, but with unwavering determination. I've carried my son's deep pain for too long. He truly needs a listener, not formal therapy yet, but someone understanding. Counseling will be vital later. I believe he'd welcome it. A commenter suggested the counselor knew more. That stung, but it was about my son's intense suffering. He confessed a chilling desire for others to suffer as he did. My heart broke at his desperation. I stand by him as he navigates his sexual orientation. He asked for no labels. I honor that. He's clearly figuring himself out. My stance is firm. Whatever he is, I'm okay with it. My love is unconditional. The school harassment was agonizing, but it was solely due to the pregnancy. His sexuality remains his private truth, unknown to anyone. What did he mean by those comments about my wife? That question haunts me. I must ask him gently to truly understand. This emotional journey is far from over, but I will walk it with him, always. The suffocating tension in our home has become a relentless weight, a heavy shroud since the day my son's fragile world unraveled. There's a persistent, unsettling belief that his profound anger towards his mother, my wife, must surely stem from something far more insidious than her mere failure to defend him. People speculate wildly, suggesting deep-seated infidelity, some hidden betrayal, or even insidious doubts about his paternity. Did he perhaps catch her in an act of cheating, or does he secretly question his own connection to her? Might he believe she's siding with the accuser because she too once navigated paternity fraud or similar deceptions? Let me state this with absolute certainty. He is my son, undeniably mine. My own mother, in a gesture born of her own anxieties, conducted tests without our prior knowledge, confirming his paternity beyond any shadow of a doubt. He is, quite literally, the spitting image of me. Before this seismic rupture, their relationship was genuinely good, filled with affection and understanding. I believe with a heavy heart that what truly shattered him was the relentless torment he endured at school, coupled with the agonizing difficulties he faced with his ex-girlfriend. He felt utterly abandoned, convinced his mother simply didn't care about his profound suffering. That's precisely what he confessed to me, pouring out his raw, unvarnished pain. Yet truly delving into the intricate depths of such complex, raw emotions is undeniably a task for a professional counselor, not for us to untangle alone. This entire situation is undeniably a horribly messy, tangled knot of emotions, tearing our family apart. Many, including myself, wonder if my wife still genuinely believes our son is lying, or if their mother-son relationship was already precariously on the rocks before this devastating event. Indeed, the way my son now speaks of his mother is not just appalling, it's truly shocking. While I understand teenagers can be prone to drama, his reaction seems profoundly extreme, speaking volumes of deep, unsolved grievances that have now violently erupted to the surface. Their bond had always been good, a bit of a monumental shock to witness its current painful state. This drama consumes me. My son, a good boy, was always wild. My wife still believes he's lying. She's planning for her grandchild unaware he's gay. It's not my place to tell. Despite criticism, I love my wife, she is my best friend. Her behavior during this has been difficult, and mine too, I'm sure, but our bond endures. Was our son a surprise? Yes. Did I ever feel trapped? No. Scared? Yes. This has likely triggered her own past fears, perhaps projection. If I felt fear, her terror carrying our baby must have been extreme. My goal is to mend our son's relationship with his mum. She and I believe, will be okay. But what if the baby turns out to be truly his? If so, he will have to step up, take responsibility. He will face significant bridge building. His lie would annoy me deeply, but he would be compelled to face consequences. I won't regret how I confronted the spiraling chaos that consumed my family. This story, unfolding over agonizing days, still makes my heart pound. My son's ex-girlfriend was reportedly 20 or 21 weeks pregnant. I recall her always having a bit of a tummy, as she'd say. I paid little mind then. Perhaps I was wrong, perhaps she truly wasn't showing, but a nagging feeling told me otherwise. The paternity test was finally complete. All that remained was the agonizing wait. 5 days later, on October 11, 2025, the shattering truth emerged. He lied. My son, the very person I tried to support through this ordeal, had unequivocally deceived us all. The previous Wednesday, I had spent a considerable £800 on that crucial test. I watched him closely. He didn't seem nervous, not in the slightest. In fact, he appeared disturbingly happy. The process itself went smoothly, almost too smoothly. Everything seemed resolved. But Thursday morning, the following day, everything changed. My resolve was tested, my patience strained. This wasn't just about a child. It was about profound betrayal. My son's ex-girlfriend's pregnancy had become a symbol of his deep-seated dishonesty. I am not on the sidelines, I am embroiled, grappling with the weight of his actions. This is only the beginning of a long, difficult path. How do I even begin to piece together what's left after such a deliberate fabrication? I woke to an empty bed. He'd texted, needing a break for days. My wife called, frantic. His ex was also gone, the same message. I texted and rang him over and over, utterly desperate. He eventually video called. His ex was there, sickening. He confessed, lied about everything. The test, he added, surely confirms it's his. He revealed their whereabouts, wanting to talk without adults involved. I was wrong, he lied. My wife, ever humble despite everything, and her parents thought letting them talk might be good. They stay in touch. I saw no benefit in them alone, nuts truly, but my anger is so profound, perhaps it's for the best. I am done. He had lied about everything. He ruined my marriage, my bond with his own mother. He uttered gross, misogynistic things to her, convincing us he wasn't the father, fabricating stories he and his ex never had sex. His entire narrative was a calculated deception, shattering our trust. Now the painful truth. The baby is undeniably his. This betrayal runs too deep for easy healing. I forgave, but I will never forget. I kept quiet for a long time, but the shame of my actions and my son's still burns. I truly ruined my marriage, allowing my son to get away with far, far too much. I misguidedly believed he was a cornered animal, lashing out because he felt persecuted. Others swiftly condemned my attitude, even accusing me of equating his reprehensible act getting his girlfriend pregnant with some kind of animalistic self-preservation. That was never my intention. I simply believed his lies. I thought he was reacting poorly because the world seemed to turn against him. I was utterly, shamefully, truly wrong to have ever believed him. Even when others reminded me that I would always love my son, advising me that standing by him was the right move despite his foolishness, a cold reality set in. I will always love him, yes, but frankly, I don't like him very much right now. The pressure mounted. Had I begun my apology tour starting with my long-suffering wife? They understood my paternal instinct to defend him, but his behavior had been ugly, rude, and hurtful to so many. I faced the music. I apologized to my wife truly, deeply. She received my apology with a grace I absolutely did not deserve. Her dignity in the face of my failures and our son's egregious actions humbles me. A deep curiosity still lingers about the aftermath, about how we move forward. A heavy tension permeates our lives, thick with questions about the impending DNA test. Many, with morbid curiosity, hunger for drama, wondering what if the results somehow prove my son isn't the father. This craving for spectacle I frankly detest. The official word states results should arrive between Monday and Wednesday, but a potential backlog means we face an agonizingly longer wait. Yet for me, the outcome already feels disturbingly clear, almost inevitable. Some from the periphery surprisingly hope the child isn't his. They see my 16-year-old son as having utterly detonated our lives, creating a maelstrom of drama. Their harsh judgment. He desperately needs better parenting before he can ever hope to become a parent. He chose not to confide in my wife or me, a profound chasm of trust we inadvertently created. Yes, I admit it with a heavy heart. I utterly failed him. I messed up in his upbringing without a doubt. Amidst this turmoil, pressing concerns about the pregnant girl's safety. Is she truly safe? Do adults know her location, ensuring protection? While unease twists relentlessly in my stomach, her parents and my wife, seeking solace amidst chaos, perceive my son's acknowledgement in this dire situation as a positive, fragile first step. After the devastating mess I've witnessed, I can only pray for true resolution. Despite my reservations, I had to consider their perspective. Perhaps they knew best. Their inexplicable happiness during our video call left me deeply unsettled. I extended my apologies to his former partner. Her response, surprisingly mature for her years, acknowledged my loyalty to my son, a moment of unexpected grace amidst the chaos. My son revealed their intentions to meticulously plan their future, including financial needs. A chilling detail emerged: they might even possess her current location. I directly contacted them, confirming my son's new relationship. Their reply was dismissive, stating they were already aware and disturbingly believed this union was beneficial. They claimed to have spoken to both parties. My son, contrite, reiterated his desire to rectify the situation, vowing to find a path to amends. Their credulity astounded me. I harbored no such illusions, yet he remained stubbornly unreachable to his own mother. 6 days later, on October 17, 2025, another unsettling chapter began. That Monday evening, my son returned home. A heated confrontation with his mother erupted immediately, laden with the familiar, harsh language. I was at work, agonizingly absent. He then fled to a friend's house. Later, my wife and I received a flurry of messages. My son had resurfaced on social media, making a public declaration. He had come out with his boyfriend. Just 2 days later, on Wednesday, her parents received the long-awaited DNA results. The truth, finally revealed, promised to shatter everything. The profound repercussions were just beginning to unfold. That day, a cold shiver runs through me still, a moment unraveling our entire family. We'd agreed not to open the email without us. My son hugged his ex. Their intimacy was a raw wound. I couldn't explain the sudden annoyance, the visceral dread. Then came the devastating truth: he was not the father. My son's brutal fury was for his mother. Every parent is a parent, he declared, except you. He spoke of a permanent, tragic end he could have chosen, convinced she wouldn't care, might even cheer. Who the real father was became truly paramount, but my son, with chilling detachment, stated, the baby is gone, so the actual father doesn't matter. I intervened between my son and her father. I firmly ordered my son to leave. He took his ex. My deep anger simmered. Arriving home, I found them on the couch, inexplicably cuddled. My rage erupted, utterly uncontrollable. I spoke to him privately. He reverted to his worn-out tale. He hadn't touched her, he couldn't get it up. His lies were flimsy. He insisted the abortion was the right choice, attributing the idea to her. She had obtained 2 doctor signatures acting before his involvement. The deep betrayal runs deep. I navigate this treacherous landscape of deceit alone, the future shadowed by his constant fabrication. The stark truth, when it finally surfaced, shattered any lingering illusions. She confessed everything to me, her admissions aligning perfectly with the damning texts exchanged over the past fortnight. It became excruciatingly clear. She sought his help, a quid pro quo for the DNA test, undeniably the core reason for their surreptitious getaway. She's returned home, and I can only imagine the isolating void she now faces. My heart aches for that poor, misguided girl. My son, however, remains stubbornly defiant, refusing to utter another word to his mother. I could easily drown in the convoluted details of their he said, she said, but I am utterly, fundamentally drained. The full, crushing weight of it all still hasn't fully registered in my weary mind. Others have been quick to judge, some unfairly branding me a bad father. They point out that I believed my son, and ultimately the baby was proven not to be his. They speculate that his initial claim of paternity might have been a desperate act, driven by anxiety or the persuasive manipulation of his ex. In their view, the truth that the child wasn't biologically his eventually prevailed. They've urged me, my son, and my wife to embrace this painful period, to allow ourselves the crucial time and space needed for genuine healing. Their advice concluded with a sincere hope for our well-being and a strong recommendation for a restorative vacation. My son clarified his position, explaining that he only admitted paternity hoping we'd cease our inquiries, leaving them unbothered for her personal matter. Those revealing texts, now firmly in our possession, confirm his account. I've taken their counsel to heart. I've booked a holiday, a desperate bid for respite from this suffocating emotional burden. I need to escape, if only momentarily, from the lingering shadow of betrayal. It's a wound that, while healing, leaves an indelible mark. I've kept quiet for too long, but this story still burns. For the last 10 days, my husband held a secret. He refused to show me any texts, though I instinctively knew it concerned the girl's father. He vowed to take this truth to his grave, a dark promise that haunted me. Some argue this explains his sudden anger, his inexplicable shift to act like a potential father. They'd say I shouldn't concern myself with the poor girl, that she showed no care when her lies unleashed an atomic bomb on my family. But my perspective remains different. She wasn't just the girl. I had known her for a year and a half, and perhaps it wasn't always clear, but she was like an extended family member. So many times she was over. We shared countless dinners. A good person can make a bad mistake, and a bad person can do a good thing. The fault, I believe, lay with us, the adults. We were the real problem. Then came the moment of truth, the DNA test results. My wife's reaction? She simply started to cry. When my husband then confronted her, mentioning she'd once seemed to cheer him on ending his own life, she flatly denied it. She claimed she wouldn't, that she hadn't known he felt that way. He retorted, his voice heavy with despair, that she hadn't wanted to know because she simply didn't care enough to ever ask. Her indifference was a fresh wound, a harsh revelation in an already broken landscape. The depth of their disconnect became painfully clear in that harrowing moment, adding another layer of grief to our fractured reality. The truth, raw and unyielding, stripped away any remaining pretense of understanding between them, leaving only the cold, hard space of unspoken pain. This was our shattering reality, impossible to ignore. My wife tries to talk to our son, but he won't listen, his anger a palpable wall. I love her deeply and I pray we'll be fine, but this rift tears at us. This isn't punishment. It's a raw, festering wound. I've kept silent too long, his bitter resentment haunts me. His words were harsh, yes, and I've urged him to move on, yet given the facts, I'm not surprised by his fury. Perhaps the apple didn't fall far from my flawed tree, but he was ruthlessly stitched up for false paternity. He suffered relentless bullying in school and social media. His mother, my wife, turned against him then. It was difficult. To my shame, I didn't believe him either. No one sought DNA proof. Instead, vile rumors about his private life spread. He was just a minor, publicly humiliated. I'm astonished he'd help his ex now. Everyone abandoned him. His mother sided with his tormentors, denying him a chance, never asking how he felt. This betrayal left him deeply scarred. He needs counseling to process this and find a healthier path. Reconciliation is uncertain, but we must. The weight of our past presses on us. My heart aches for the son we failed, for the peace we seek. I fear what comes next. This story about him still echoes in my thoughts. He confessed he despises his ex, blaming her constant ways for his hatred. He knows, however, he must settle down, an undeniable truth. But then, a different insight surfaced. It was argued he's a better man than my wife and I ever credited him for. I weighed this. If an ex's lies had destroyed my family ties, I doubt I'd ever set aside my feelings to help. Yet he did. He absorbed tremendous heat, admitting a lie himself solely so she could get an abortion. His issues with his mother aside, his good heart is unmistakable. I conceded yes, there is good within him. He shared with profound sadness that he hates loving his ex, yet cannot genuinely love her anymore. The way he articulated that pain resonated deeply. He grasps why she lied and why her parents stood with her. But what he truly cannot fathom is why his own mother did not take his side, why she withheld her support. This unresolved hurt persists. Perhaps after all this emotional upheaval, my wife and I genuinely deserve a long, beautiful break. And why not right now? It feels like the perfect time for us to finally find some peace. I kept quiet too long. The sheer volume of deceit still makes my heart ache. The saga was a swirling vortex of lies, disorienting. I tried focusing on my wife, letting them untangle their mess, but questions pursued me. Did she truly get an abortion? My memory recalled her showing signs earlier. Our limit is 12 weeks, one barely shows then. The inconsistency clawed at my sanity. A relentless urge to uncover truth consumed me. I had to investigate. My mind raced to his phone, a portal to potential secrets. At least I considered checking his phone company records, sifting through contacts. New, unknown numbers could betray a hidden boyfriend or even the actual father. The possibilities were sickening. Eventually, both in hushed, fragmented tones, confirmed what they knew. I was told the abortion conducted nearby was at 24 weeks. They insisted traveling was legal, contingent on 2 doctor signatures. She fell within 24 weeks, but unequivocally outside our 12-week local restriction. The elaborate story she wove to obtain those signatures remains a dark mystery to me. My son, witnessing a truth no child should, found the procedure disgusting. I knew with a heavy heart that beyond 12 weeks, such an act typically demanded significant risk to her physical health. What narrative did they use? What agony did they endure or inflict? The questions persist, a constant hum of unresolved anguish, leaving me with a heavy, unyielding sense of betrayal and profound sorrow. The answers are elusive, but the scars are permanent. I've long remained silent about this troubling ordeal, but the echoes of uncertainty and suspicion resonate. The termination of her advanced pregnancy required 2 doctors' assessments, a stark indicator of its great gravity. I've often speculated about her true motives. Could she have wanted an abortion from the outset, knowing her staunchly pro-life parents would never sanction it? Her intricate mindset eludes me, yet she somehow convinced 2 medical professionals of her desperate need. Such a procedure at an advanced stage would undoubtedly have been a deeply disturbing surgical intervention indeed. Candidly, I never investigated the specifics. I simply took their word, accepted their fragmented messages. If a baby was still there, it was utterly disconnected from me, but I imagine it's gone now, regardless of the method. My son's raw reaction, however, was telling. Upon their return to the hotel, he confessed to downing multiple energy drinks, fearing she might perish. He reassured me she was fine, but his palpable terror was impossible to ignore. Many, I know, still consider my son a jerk, and I cannot entirely fault them. I often sense trouble brewing myself. But the intricate web of deceit, why did he fabricate such lies, and why did she acquiesce? It never made complete sense to me, and even after reflection, a clearer understanding of the situation only deepens my lingering unease about my child's choices. I've been asked countless times about the aftermath, about the tangled threads of our family's struggles. Many have wondered about the abortion, agreeing it was perhaps the only path, a sentiment I've held from the start. But the deeper questions linger. Do we truly have a solution? My son still lives under my roof. His boyfriend, I must clarify, is not the son of my bar friend, as some speculated, but rather his friend's cousin. A small detail perhaps, but one of many untruths. He confessed to lying about fathering the child, a desperate attempt to secure the abortion without our intervention. Everything else he told us up to that point, however, was tragically true. My wife and I are still living apart. We are, I hope, fine, though the word feels hollow. She's undeniably a mess. I say this not to diminish her, but to acknowledge the profound weight of her pain. It's a difficult truth, unfortunately. I recall the pointed criticism many leveled at me and at my wife and son in earlier discussions. Yet there's a current of hope from some, a genuine wish for things to work out. I share that hope for my wife and son to mend their fractured relationship. I see his anger, a raw wound, and hers, perhaps still festering. The question of whether they were always rivals in their dynamic, always fighting like this, haunts me. The answer remains complex, deeply rooted in our family's turbulent past. I've suppressed this pain, yet the memory still bites. My mother's dislike for my wife after her secret DNA test caused palpable tension throughout our family. I always felt like the odd one out, a perpetual third wheel. It wasn't just my imagination. My mother and my wife shared a bond, best friends, never competitive but always excluding me. This deep connection made the eventual betrayal excruciatingly worse. The deeper the trust, the sharper the pain. It shattered my world, leaving a deep wound that refuses to mend.